How's it going, everybody? My name's Artorigold and I am a top 500 player, and today I'm going to be going over a Winston VOD on Numbani, which is a very good Winston map, and this is currently on a SMURF account somewhere in mid-masters probably. So Winston is a really strong dive tank that works really well and best with a D.Va as your off tank. You can have some pretty good other off tanks, but typically it's definitely better with a D.Va who can dive with you, and you also work really well with other DPS that can dive with you as well, such as a Genji or a Tracer, or maybe even a Doomfist is really good. Here we have a Torbjorn and a Widowmaker, which isn't exactly the kind of DPS that you want, but it's okay on Numbani. First point Numbani, Widowmaker can be really good. So here, I'm just going to use my bubble so my Widowmaker can just have perfect line of sight of any enemy who's trying to come in through the choke point and maybe get a potential pick from here. So I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to basically fight the people who are diving in. As you can see here, they're definitely trying to dive, and because we have a Torbjorn, we're kind of an anti-dive DPS comp with the Widowmaker and Torbjorn, but at the same time, a Winston and D.Va want to dive on the enemy backline in order to create space by taking away. So, well, anyways, regardless of that, so in this fight, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to immediately jump on the Doomfist because we have our entire team all set up here. We have my Ana, I have my Torb, and the Torb turret's like right here as well, and the Widowmaker, and the Doomfist is going to jump on me, which is a pretty bad idea because as a tank, you're basically just going to be the object of attention, and you could take the abuse. You have the health, you have the armor, so if you let the enemy dive on you, it's much better than him diving on your supports or the rest of your team. I'm just going to focus my damage on the Doomfist, and he's going to go down really quickly. And here, what I'm going to do is, and I'm just going to try to, basically, I know I'm not going to be able to kill this D.Va, but this Hanzo is definitely low enough to where I could get the kill on him. So basically what I want to do is, even if these enemies had like high health, let's say this D.Va had full health and this Hanzo wasn't even in the picture, right? Let's pretend this Hanzo wasn't in there. I would want to still be here to focus the attention of the D.Va so she wouldn't dive my backline, and at the same time, I want to deny her the high ground. So this space right here that we're on is a very common and easy choke point, but it's also the high ground that gives the enemy a huge advantage if they're able to get control of it. So just by being here, not necessarily like doing enough damage to kill this D.Va, but I will be able to deny the enemy this location, so this Hanzo is going to not be able to do what he wants to do. At this point, I'm just going to go for the Hanzo. I imagine I'm going to chase for it, yeah. And then as I can see, the Hanzo does a lot of damage. As you can see, my health gets melted. So I'm going to go ahead and use my leap to retreat. One of the common things you can do as Winston, if you can just walk forward and close the gap, just by pressing W, it'll be much more beneficial to save your leap for another time. So here she fell down. I'm just going to stay up there because my health is a little bit low until I get healed up, and then I'm going to continue finishing her off. And then I'm going to be able to go onto the point. I think, unfortunately, the enemy gets like one tick. One of the things about a tank that I'd like to talk about, this is something that I do here, is immediately after killing this D.Va, and this is something that is my fault, is because they got a whole tick. Because the main job of the main tank, I mean, obviously helping to kill this D.Va was not a bad call, but what you need to keep in mind as the main tank, you are going to be the one that people are going to rely to touch the objective. And because I was over here killing the D.Va, the rest of my team doesn't want to go and touch the objective, so they basically get a free tick. It took me way too long to go and touch this point. I mean, killing the D.Va was good. Sometimes, I think, in a lot of situations, it's okay to give the enemy a free tick, and then regroup, and then take the point back later. But in a lot of situations, it can be kind of dangerous. Like, for example, if it was, maybe they only need one tick to win the game. Obviously, in that instance, it would be pretty brutal, but luckily I don't have to worry about it here. So, right there, I'd like to talk about what I did there. Like I was saying earlier, instead of using my leap to engage on this Hanzo, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait for my leap cooldown. See, I get it back right there. And I'm just going to jump down there, start zapping him, and then leap right out. All this does is it blows cooldowns. For example, I used the Hanzo dash, the Hanzo stormbow. I made D.Va use her fly. I made D.Va use her missiles. And I basically baited out 2 people's cooldowns and abilities, and I just delayed their time and wasted their time. One thing when you're on defense, one of the bigger things to worry about is time, and trying to waste the enemy's time as much as possible can be really beneficial for you, because if you're being really annoying and disruptive and they're not able to fight on the point, then you're just wasting the potential amount of time they could be using to group up and fight as all 6 in order to try and take the point. So here I see the Doomfist is alone. If you see an enemy alone, especially a target who can't 1v1 you, if it's like a Reaper, you don't want to do that, right? That's pretty bad. But see right here, I see the entire team thanks to wall. So they're all down here, and this Doomfist is going to be alone. And one of the things about Winston, even though you don't have like the most damage output, you can just challenge people in a 1v1 most of the time, because your health pool will just be able to outdo it. So what I did right there is I bubbled the D.Va bomb. I see that it's right up in the air, so I put the bubble right here, so when the D.Va bomb lands, the bubble is going to completely enclose it, and the only damage of the bomb is going to be in this area. And then I just use my leap ability to get out of it. Now that's a more advanced thing to do. It's really difficult to bubble a D.Va bomb because it's really hard to predict where the D.Va bomb's going. But in an instance like that where she's just throwing it straight up into the air, it's extremely easy to predict. So whenever you can, try to bubble a D.Va bomb to make it so the damage doesn't get any of your team. So here, I'm not really going to be able to do much damage. They have Transcendence. So one of the things that you can do as Winston is this leap straight up into the air, right? So I'm not going to be able to do any damage to these people. I already have my ultimate, and they're not going to die from Transcendence. So effectively hitting them here does nothing but just make me lose my own health, or might force me to use my ult early. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leap into the air. By leaping into the air, it makes the enemy targets start looking up, and then they're not going to be looking at anybody else. So it takes a lot of time and effort for the enemy team to try and to hit you, so it can keep you alive longer. Or if it doesn't, it'll keep the enemy team distracted for longer. So here I'm just going to use my ultimate to stall the point. I was about to die. I was at like 100 HP. I can get a kill on this Brig pretty easily. One of the things with Winston is that your ult can actually, you can use it not only for stalling, but you're also able to use your ult to kill an enemy with low health because it adds a lot of burst damage, or to juggle them in a corner, and then you can kill them that way, especially if they're squishy. Or another great way to use it, like I did there, is that I force the Brigitte out of position. So here I would use the ultimate, and I'm going to juggle her back towards this area, isolate her, and able to get an easy pick on her where she's not able to affect anything. So basically I'm just isolating her and then getting the kill. It looks like we're going to get this point taken away though, unfortunately. Now we switched up a lot. So now we have a Soldier and Widow as our DPS, and then we have a Moira and Brig for our healers. So one thing to take a note whenever playing a main tank is make sure you know who your healers are. For example, if you have an Ana, you want to make sure that your Ana has good line of sight of you. If you have a Moira, like we do in this instance, you have to be very careful about being in range of the Moira, meaning if you dive and overextend too much and get tunnel vision, your Moira will not be able to heal you. She has very short range healing, and you're going to have to make sure to escape to a position where she can help you. So here, I'm not really happy with that positioning. That was really bad. I got caught out and I panicked, and that was completely terrible of me, and don't ever do that. That was a pretty big mistake. All around, definitely don't do that. So here, I'm trying to, obviously I want to contest this point, but the whole 6 team is grouped up there. I see my team is kind of next to me. My Moira and Brig are right here, but unfortunately one thing I was just saying earlier is that you have to be aware of who your healers are. My Moira is a very short range healer, so in this instance I'm not really able to pull off these dive maneuvers like I would. So here I'm basically stuck and pressured, because if you look, the Hanzo's going to be in this room, because he was moving in there, and I would have been trapped by him, and he definitely would have stormbowed me down. So I decided to escape up here, use my bubble, and maybe hopefully, you know, survive. But unfortunately, the Winston gets up top there and knocks me down, and because I have a Moira who's short range healing, I'm just not going to be able to get anything done with that. So all around, I was completely out of position. And one thing to note is it's very easy to take advantage of somebody who is out of position. And the job of a tank is to basically make it so, you know, you get someone in a position that they don't want to be in. And I clearly was in a terrible one. So because of that, we basically lose the second point. We didn't group up once. I'm going to go ahead and try to get the high ground here. And the Winston's going to do a very good job of denying me that high ground just by leaping up there and knocking me down. And I'm not going to contest it because we're still kind of in a regroup stage. It looks like my Roadhog, my Diva is a Roadhog, and now the Roadhog is a Reinhardt? So, very unfortunate. The enemy team has a bunch of ults, and we did not do so well here. So basically, we got steamrolled. Their enemy Winston did a great job of denying me the high ground, and then they just had the ult advantage, and we just never really regrouped, and that's partly my fault. I also made the same mistake by getting picked on that second point. So, it looks like we have a Genji. So, one thing to know about this team comp, I have a Zarya who has the ability to give me a bubble, which is pretty decent. She's not able to dive with me, which is something that I would want, but it does add to my survivability, which is something, you know, that a Roadhog won't do. So I'm just going to leap over here. Because they have an Orisa, I'm not going to move forward because I saw that Junkrat trap. Unfortunately, I didn't really create too much space there, but I wanted to stay up on this high ground. Basically, my objective as Winston, especially a Numbani, is I want to get this person, this Ana, this Zen, and this Junkrat, I want them to go on the ground. That's all I'm trying to do as Winston. Orisa would be great, but I'm not going to be able to contest or make an Orisa fall down, especially one that has two healers right here, right? So all I'm trying to do is deny the high ground for the enemy. So I'm just constantly leaping up there. I might be like feeding into their ult charges a little bit, but I am able to get out with 2 HP right there. So that's kind of insane. My Widow's popping off, but I really need heals. I thought that one of my healers was going to respawn from back there. Turns out that they're still alive. So I run back to the Mega Health Pack, and hopefully I can re-enter the fight. While that's happening, my team really cleaned things up. Unfortunately, all I did was distract the attention of probably just the Junkrat for the most part for the entire fight. I wasn't able to deny the enemy positioning too much, but I was able to distract them. So while the Junkrat was hitting a tank, he was unable to hit my team, which is really beneficial for a main tank. In a sense, you basically just want to make sure the enemy's hitting you instead of your squishy people. It really helps your team. It might not seem like it, but making them waste their damage on you instead of on somebody else who's more vulnerable to it is way better. So that leap is a perfect way of engaging. You engage, but you kind of stay in the air a little bit. So one of the things you like to do with the leap is I could have made a much shorter range leap here, but I decided to get more air time. And because whenever you activate your leap ability, it goes on to cooldown immediately, you have this space where you can get your leap back quicker if you're in the air longer. Because typically what happens is if the longer you're in the air, the less the enemy is going to be hitting you. So it buys time and survivability. Another thing to note is that when you have a bubble and you get someone stuck in it, such as the McCree in that instance, he was stuck in that bubble, right? And the enemy Ana is not going to be able to heal, sleep, or grenade anybody who's stuck inside this bubble. So that's another thing to take note of, Winston, is you want to jump on somebody and bubble on top of them in order to prevent an Ana from healing or sleeping you. It's a really good strategy. And then, of course, just leap out. One of the things with Winston, you want to get in there, but you want to make sure you can leap out too. Don't fully commit as Winston unless you know you're going to be able to survive, stay alive, or if you know that the kill is worth dying for. Or if you have your ult. If you have your ult, then absolutely, you can overextend with your ult. Your ult is a good tool for you to just, you know, get aggressive and just kind of do crazy things that you normally wouldn't be able to because you immediately get healed to 1,000 health. So you definitely can get some leeway with that. But typically you want to save your ultimate for like some crazy environmental kills or be able to pick people. So here I'm going to try to get this high ground. It's kind of risky being up here because I think we still have a Moira as a healer. But I wanted to get up here because I want to deny the enemy team high ground because I know they're probably about regrouping from here right now. And I find a Doomfist. That's not someone you want to find. You don't want to find a Doomfist, but I do have my ultimate. So whenever you're in a panic mode like that, like Doomfist, by the way, is so annoying. If you're a main tank player out there, I really am. I'm so sorry because I feel your pain. But Doomfist, there's nothing you can do about a Doomfist. In most instances, you might be able to get away with damaging him a lot, but Doomfist is one of those characters just like Reaper. He can pretty much solo you. But if you have your ult, you can just keep him juggled. See right there? Kind of insane, actually. I guess we have an Ana, and the Ana was able to land a grenade and an anti to him, which is huge. So I basically just used my ult to distract them. And as you can tell, as we got to... Basically, during that whole time when I was in my ult, I might have not gotten a kill, but I had their main tank and their damage dealer all trapped in this room. And while they're trapped in this room, they're not doing any damage to my team. And at the same time, the point is just being pushed. So right now, my team is at a one-man up advantage because it's basically a 5v4 because I'm up here ulting them away. And at the same time, the Doomfist gets out with like 1 HP, but he's antied, and then my team is able to just finish him off pretty easily as soon as he leaps out in desperation. So, again, you might not be getting the kills as a Winston or as a main tank, but that's not your job. I think more often than not, your job is to create space and create opportunities, which is exactly what you're doing. You're denying the enemy team good positioning. You're not letting them do things that they want to do. So the Winston is going to use his ult on me. He's really low, but I'm going to make sure I stand on the point because the Reinhardt's also just really easy to melt. As soon as a Reinhardt doesn't have his armor, your cannon, your lightning gun will just go right through his shield, and he's not going to be... Like, if you get at the right range, you can just sit there and kite a Reinhardt and just burn him with your lightning gun. It's not worth it, usually, unless you're trying to, like, farm ult charge. Oh, that was a maneuver I really want to talk about, by the way. See this right here? If you see a hitscan player and he's shooting you and you're just looking at him, he's going to have the ability to hit you in your face. So what you want to do instead, turn around, show him your back, show him your butt, and just walk away. See right there? He hit me like probably 3 or 4 more times before my Ana finally like moved up here to this corner so she could shoot me. But because of that, I was able to not get bursted down by some sort of crazy headshot, 1-2 headshot. So that's something you should take note if the enemy team has a hitscan player and they seem to be pretty good, or if you're just at that really close-up range, they can usually land really easy headshots on you. So you want to make sure to just turn around so they're not able to even see your head. It's a very interesting, it's a very neat little thing you could do as Winston. It might seem really silly, but I mean, if the enemy team's able to land headshots, they will, and it'll do more damage. Winston loves doing cleanup fights like this. I mean, look at them. They're just low HP. They're all just 1 HP. So even though we were all tilted from that first round, we're doing like even better than they are. I think we're going to beat their time by like 10 seconds. So that's insane. So another thing to note here is when you leap, you want to melee. I think everybody knows this by now, but if you melee right as you leap, so your leap, when you land on someone, it'll do damage, and you can use your melee for more burst damage, and the leap will cancel the punch animation. So if you basically want to get in the habit of doing that at the same every time you can. So here I'm just jumping on Ana. As you can see, the cancel with the punch does a lot of damage. So I'm going to do it right here. See, you barely see it, but it does a ton of burst damage actually on squishies. So here I do have my ultimate, but instead of using my ultimate, I'm actually just going to use my lightning as much as possible and save my ultimate until I need to use it to survive. You could try to boop the Winston Orion like away and off the point, but I think you do more consistent damage to both of them just by shooting them with your lightning gun, because it has that, you know, huge range on the lightning gun where you're able to just hit them both and slowly melt them. So that's typically what you're going to do. So here we're going to run Genji. It's really nice to have a Genji as Winston. Looks like I'm solo tanking, actually. I'm solo tanking, so we have triple DPS. We have a Tracer and Genji who can dive with me, which means we have a lot of damage potential. if we're diving, that'll create space for the Widow, because we'll be basically just giant distractions for the enemy team to try and kill us and deal with us, because we'll be in their face. And then the Widowmakers should be able to just have free reign to just shoot them while that happens. So here, I still have my leap, but instead of using it right away, I'm just going to try and help and peel a little bit, because they're diving us. And I can actually do some burst damage. If you see somebody who's low, I kind of messed it up right there. But if he's low, even though he's getting healed, you can try to leap on top of him and melee to finish him off. I kind of messed that up, though, to be honest. I leapt a little too far away. But it's okay. We finished up. So here I see that they're on the ground. And we can just slowly clean up a Genji. Genjis are really easy to deal with as Winston. I'm just going to leap out a little bit, even though I'm not full health. Even though I'm not like low health, I'm not full health. And there's no reason to risk dying to burst damage. So if you have the opportunity to get healed, go get healed. Grab a health pack. There's nothing wrong with that. Even though the ult charge is good for your healers, in some instances your healers could be busy in a different situation healing somebody else. So grabbing a health pack or a mega as a tank can be pretty useful for them. So here, I'm just going to try and distract the Genji. Genji has a really tough time dealing with Winston. If you're able to just walk forward at a Genji and then save your leap, that's the best situation ever, right? Because then the Genji has to use his dash to escape, and if he stays too long, he's going to be low. And if he uses that dash to escape, you'll save your leap, and then you could just leap right after his dash and finish him off, and there's nothing he can do about it unless one of his teammates can pocket and help him. So I'm going to go ahead and try and clean up the rest of that fight. Nobody was on the cart during that whole thing, which is rather unfortunate, but that's okay. All around, we did pretty well here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get at this choke point and try to deny the enemy team a good position. Going up to the choke point and pushing is good. So here, you notice, again, exactly what I was talking about. I'm here, and I'm just going to walk forward at the Genji. I don't have to waste my leap at the Genji. I can just walk forward and damage him, and he tries deflecting, which does literally nothing. But I'm going to leap out. It's too many, and he was getting pocketed by a Zenyatta and a Mercy, which is just too much healing. So I don't normally advise going for Mercies like that, but it can work if the Mercy's low enough. In that instance, obviously, she wasn't. So I'm not going to use my ult there. We clearly lost that fight. The Wrecking Ball is really difficult to deal with. If you're discorded, Wrecking Ball will just melt you, because he can hit you headshot. Like, he can headshot you pretty easily. One thing you do have to notice with, or take caution with Winston, is you have a really big head hitbox. So I'm going to use my ult to stay alive here, because they're kind of out of position, and also just dying that early would be so bad. So I'm just going to leap around as much as possible, hit the Zenyatta out of position, but eventually I'm going to fall down. This is what I'm talking about. Look at the Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball with Discord Orb, you can actually just, I mean, anything. When you turn into, when you go into Rage mode as Winston, your hitbox just becomes so much bigger. You have more health, but it's much easier for an enemy to just melt you, especially if they have a Zenyatta with Discord Orb. So, in this instance, I'm going to leap. I'm going to go after their spawns, and I'm going to use my bubble to disengage best I can. Just applying some pressure. You don't have to necessarily kill someone all the time. Like that Doomfist, he has mobility, so there's no reason to try and engage on a Doomfist, especially when I'm not full health, because the Doomfist has really low cooldowns and a lot of mobility and a lot of burst damage potential, so you shouldn't pursue it. Unfortunately, I made a really big mistake there, and I stayed too long. I should have used my leap. I should not have used my leap that way. So right here, I was safe, and it could have gotten out. I wanted to do damage to the Genji. I should not have leapt back in. Instead, I should have leapt away. If I'm able to distract a Genji and Winston just for me, so it's like that 5v4 situation where I distract two of them and they're not able to engage in the actual fight, that can be good if I live. But because I die, I lose value. But my team is doing really good work here. Because they were distracted, the main tank, their Winston, wasn't able to use his barrier or block any of the damage coming in from my Hanzo's Stormbow, which I mean, like, as everybody would know, Hanzo does some serious damage, and Stormbow is so easy to land any of those shots. So because of that, it looks like this is actually still very winnable because my Genji's using his Dragon Blade. So here I would love to leap after the Hammond, but I didn't have it. I'm gonna look for him though. It looks like I killed him somehow. Somehow I killed the Hammond mysteriously. I'm not sure how that works. If I knew the secret to how I killed that Hammond, I would let you guys know. But sadly, I have no idea how he died there. I assume he jumped off the map? Strangely enough, maybe? I don't know. So here I'm going to try and just do as much damage with my lightning gun because I can hit multiple targets. I'm going to use my ultimate maybe a little bit later, maybe to try and space one. I might use the ultimate here soon. I didn't need to. The ult can be really good to just do some burst damage at the end. I didn't have to worry about it. So this time around, I actually get, we're not a triple DPS solo tank anymore, so that's really nice. Now I actually have an Orisa. Orisa's going to be really helpful here. She's going to be able to kind of stand her own ground on the point while I basically... So even though it's not the best tank composition, if you have an Orisa, she can just stand on the point and kind of deny the objective, and it allows me to be more mobile and apply pressure to the enemy supports, and also allows me to deny the enemy high ground and not worry about the objective as much, which can be really good. I also see there's a Genji. You want to stick on a Genji a lot as Winston. Like, he wasted his dash. That was a terrible dash, right? Did he waste his... Did he dash up to the high ground here? No, he had his dash ability, but yet he chose to sit there and fight instead of dashing away. Don't do that as Genji. If you have your dash move and you have... I mean, unless he used it and I didn't catch it, but if you have your dash as Genji, use it to escape. I mean, obviously, if he did that, I would have just leapt onto him and killed him anyways. But I mean, he could have at least attempted it. Would have been a lot better. Staying on a Genji is really easy as Winston. I'm going to go ahead and leap because whenever a Doomfist uses his uppercut on you, it's really annoying. And see right here, he uppercuts me and I lose control. But I'm able to leap to kind of get out of it. Because if you're stuck in midair... from an uppercut from Doomfist, he's just going to land all of his bullets from his primary weapon into you, and it's just going to take all of your health away. So just, if you have the ability to get out of a Doomfist uppercut, then do that, because if you just stand there, he's just going to shoot his bullets at you. Doesn't matter though, because he punches me in the face. Doomfist is really good at everything. He's actually so busted right now. If anybody's a DPS player out there, I highly suggest you picking up Doomfist. He's so OP. He's actually so broken. As a main tank, there's not a whole lot that you can do to prevent that damage from Doomfist. I'm going to wait to save my bubble. So one of the things to note there, one of the things I could have done differently, by the way, so there's a soldier on high ground. I don't want to use my bubble here. I want to use the bubble on point because I can potentially save it for there. If I use my bubble here, then the only thing that it's going to cover is like this area, right? So I would rather be on the point with the bubble and take some damage moving in order to sacrifice that so I can stand on the point and allow our team to group up. The one thing that I could have done differently is I could have done the old 180 where I basically turn around and not let him hit my face. See right here, I could actually be moving like backwards or to the side so he wouldn't be able to hit my face. So my Orisa's doing good work. I'm gonna try and leap on this soldier. Problem is I'm not gonna be able to out damage a soldier. Really unfortunate. Doomfist just has my phone number and he's been calling me all night. But Soldier 76 is basically going to be my job. I think that was the Genji. I think the Genji players swapped. Yeah, the Genji had enough of my Winston. Looks like my team actually popped off, which is amazing. But the Soldier 76 is going to be my job to contest him on the high ground. Now, Soldier 76, I'm not going to ever really kill him. He could sit there and use his healing field and do a lot of damage to me. And if he gets a pocket during that, he could kill me. There's also the chance that he'll just sprint and run away, but I'm still going to have to do it. That's my job. Nobody else can go for the soldier. I have an Orisa, I don't have a diva, so it's my job to just deny this high ground. Luckily, I think what happened there is that he wasn't able to be in his healing field. Yeah, I think the healing field actually just didn't matter because I think my team was helping me shoot at him. I think Orisa was maybe shooting at him. I saw Orisa use her right click there, so he took some extra damage from somewhere. So one of the neat little things that you could do is you could actually bubble a Doomfist ult, kind of like a Diva Bomb. It's not as effective, but you can do it. It does a big AoE damage. You can't actually bubble the Doomfist ult though. So that's something you could do. I wasn't sure if there was anybody there, but if they were, they could have gotten behind my bubble and I would have helped them. So there, unfortunately, I got the nano. One thing to note is if you get nanoed, you don't want to use your ult, but I kind of felt like I had to because these guys were just almost in perfect range for this juggle. If I'm able to get them inside this room over here, then I could get them potentially just trapped. Unfortunately, they escape. But one of the things that's really good about using your ultimate, especially against a Doomfist, is he kind of gets the taste for he gets a taste of his own medicine, right? So if I boop the Doomfist, he's not going to be able to land his punches. I'm not going to do as much damage. Using your nano lightning gun is more damage, but using your ult can just apply more pressure to the objective. And in a tough situation like that, it's really clean work by my team. They're focusing down the targets that I'm engaging on, which is really good. But giving the Doomfist a taste of his own medicine is always, it's just euphoric. I love it. I hate Doomfist so much as a main tank, and I'm sure everybody else who plays main tank hates it as well. But so it looks like they're going up here. So I'm going to get some huge cleave damage by doing this, right? By hitting so many targets at the same time with your lightning gun, which is something you want to be doing as much as possible. One interesting thing to note about your lightning gun is if you're right up close to people, for example, if you're too close to people, your gun kind of goes out in an arc. So if there's a lot of enemies, you want to kind of be at this medium range where you're able to hit everybody with the arc. If you're up close, you're only going to hit people at this range. Whereas if you're a little bit further away, you can hit more people in a bigger, wider AoE range. So if you're looking for that like giant cleave damage, you want to find that perfect like distance that's just like right at the edge of your lightning gun distance, so you're able to hit as many people as possible, which helps build your ult really quickly. So I'm going to try to jump on the Doomfist and Soldier as much as possible. Obviously, I want to jump on the Soldier to deny him the high ground, and I want to jump on the Doomfist because I'd rather him punch me than punch any of my teammates. So here, he's probably not going to die unless his team comes to save him. So I'm just going to leap out. I might have been able to go for it. I could have used my ult probably too, but no need to no need to make those risky plays if you're on defense. I probably could have gotten the kill if I leapt and engaged, but who knows, maybe his team could have came and saved him, and then all of a sudden I'm getting uppercut and punched by a Doomfist. It just wouldn't be worth it. On defense, your life is more valuable than that. You need to be alive, especially if you're the main tank. You can't throw away your life and extend for just some soldier. Your life is way more valuable. Way more valuable. So here I'm going to use my ult. And one of the nice thing about this ult is that if a soldier is using his visor, you can just eat the entire thing. Just get in his face, boop him back, and he's not going to be able to kill you because visor just does pathetic amounts of damage. And I'm even able to go and grab one of those health packs. And I'm just going to leap back away, try to get a regroup here because we definitely lost that fight. But one of the nice things about this situation is that it's complete overtime right now for them. It's 30 seconds, right? So all we need to do is just regroup as 6, get out. Don't worry about contesting the point right now. We win the game if we win one fight, we win the game. In an overtime situation like this, we already got the point all the way. And they're out of time, meaning they have to stay on the payload the entire fight, the entire rest of this game, or else they lose. So all I need to do is just regroup as a full 6 and take a fight. We have plenty of time to do this. No need to panic in an overtime situation, especially like this. So I'm getting kind of behind them, and what I want to do is what I talked about earlier. I'm going to engage by just pressing W as opposed to engaging with my leap. So I can engage and harass their backline and then use my leap to escape. I'm going to use my bubble and then leap out. I got a beautiful, beautiful nano. So here, I'm just going to try and stand at that distance where I'm able to do damage to him. If you see someone who's antied, you should focus them as Winston. Always focus the people that that are antied on the enemy team. It's just so easy to just melt them because their healers aren't going to be able to save them. Overall, in general, things to do as Winston: deny the enemy high ground, especially if they have a hit scan player, harass Genjis as much as possible, walk up to them by pressing W and save your leap to use it once they use their own escape move. Don't be afraid to use your leap to get away, to escape to a health pack or to your healers, and then you can regroup later and take the fight a second time once that you're healed up. Just try to deny the high ground as much as possible. If there's an enemy Ana on a team, use your bubble on the Ana or on a person so they can't be healed by Ana, which is a very strong strategy to use, especially when this meta involves a lot of Ana. Try to use your lightning cannon at a little bit of a range, a little further back. Don't try to use it right up close range so you can hit as many people as possible. And you'll notice that you'll do a ton more damage and you'll get your ult charge back because you're hitting everybody. Make sure to use your voice comms in order to communicate what target you are leaping towards and diving towards so your teammates can back you up. Because of your low damage output, having that DPS hero back you up and help deal more damage to your target can really help secure that kill. Either way, that's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something. I hope maybe you can take something away from this game. I know I did. Just from looking back at my own mistakes, I know that I've learned what I shouldn't do on Winston. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.